Hey there, so you think you're pretty good at English, huh? You understand movies, maybe even read books. But when it comes to actually speaking, do the words just disappear? Do you find yourself constantly translating in your head instead of just thinking in English? Let's be real, textbooks and exams don't measure real-world fluency. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes learners make is overestimating their level. But don't worry, you're not alone and it's not your fault. Today, we're not just pointing out the problem, we're giving you the solution. We're going to reveal a secret that can skyrocket your English, even if you can't travel abroad. You'll discover how the power of imitation can help you sound more natural and confident, faster than you think. Ready to unlock your true English potential? Then subscribe now and get ready to uncover some Learn English secrets that will change the way you learn forever. So, let's go. The straight truth about your English. Hey there, friend, let's be honest. How's your real English? I'm not talking about the English on your certificate or from classes you took ages ago. I mean the English you actually use every day. Have you thought about that? We often fool ourselves. We take a course, pass a test, get a diploma, and think, great, I know English now. But then, when it's time to travel, chat with a native speaker, or watch a movie without subtitles, it gets tricky. Words won't come out, sentences don't make sense, and the English we thought we knew seems much weaker. I'm not saying this to bring you down. I want you to see something important. It's okay if your English isn't where you want it yet. What's important is knowing where you are now so you can find the right way to really improve. Think of it like wanting to travel to a new place. First, you need to know where you are on the map. Without knowing where you're starting, how will you decide which way to go? It's the same with English. If you don't know your true level, your strengths and weaknesses, how will you know what to work on to improve? So let's do a quick exercise. Think about how you feel using your English today. When you need to speak, do the words come easily or do you freeze up? When you listen to a conversation in English, do you understand it well or just catch a few words? When you write, do you translate everything in your head or do you think in English directly? Recognizing this is key. No one becomes fluent by accident. No one wakes up one day speaking perfect English. Fluency takes practice, dedication, and knowing where you need to improve. So tell me honestly, are you holding on to that paper English and ignoring what really matters, actually communicating? It's okay if the answer is yes. Realizing this is the first step to unlocking your learning. Now, let's figure out what's holding you back and make a plan to let your English flow for real. Ready? The biggest mistake when evaluating your English. All right, listen up. If there's one thing that can really hold you back in learning English, it's using the wrong way to measure your progress. And I bet you've done this before because almost everyone does. We feel proud when we pass an English test or finish a course and get a nice certificate, right? It feels great, but here's the question, does that really mean you can speak English in the real world? Think about becoming a professional swimmer. You can spend hours studying swimming techniques, watching videos, and reading books. But then, when you're actually in the water, you realize swimming for real is pretty different from just knowing about it. The same goes for English. Sometimes we're great at the theory, grammar, vocabulary, even writing, but when it comes time to actually talk to someone or understand fast English, it all falls apart. And the worst part? We don't even realize we're measuring our skills in the wrong way. A lot of people think they know English because they can read articles, understand subtitles, or write a formal email. But in real situations like ordering food, chatting with a foreign friend, or following a casual conversation, they freeze up. What about you? Can you think of the last situation where English held you back? Share it in the comments so we can see the common challenges. Here's the risk. If you're measuring your English only by tests and certificates, you could be fooling yourself. The real test is in real life. If you can't handle a conversation smoothly without Google Translate or translating everything in your head, then you still have work to do. Now here's the challenge. Start thinking of English as a practical tool instead of just something theoretical. Ask yourself, can I understand a podcast without subtitles? If someone asks me for directions in English, can I answer without freaking out? Do I think in English or still translate everything? If your answers are no or kind of, that's okay. The important part is finding where the gaps are so you can start closing them the right way. So let's stop measuring English the wrong way. Because fluency isn't about knowing all the grammar rules, it's about communicating confidently in the real world. And that's exactly what we're going to work on from now on. Test 1. Do you think in English? This is really important, so pay close attention. It's one of the key differences between those who really master English and those who are still struggling. When you hear someone speaking English or need to answer during a conversation, what happens in your head? Do you understand the words instantly, or do you have to translate everything first from English to your native language and back? If you're still doing mental translations, this is an important area to work on. Think about this: when you speak in your native language, do you translate what you're going to say before speaking? Of course not, right? You just think and the words come out. The same should eventually happen with English. But the problem is, when we start learning a new language, we often learn in a way that creates extra steps, first learning the words in our native language, then memorizing their English translations. This helps at the start, but if you stay stuck in this process, you'll never be able to speak naturally and quickly. Imagine your brain is like a computer. Every time you need to speak English, it opens up a translation program. This process takes time, uses up energy, and slows down your thinking. Now, what happens when you train your brain to think directly in English? That translation program gets turned off and the words come out much faster and more naturally. How do I do that? You might ask. Great question. The answer is simple: practice, practice, and more practice. You need to immerse yourself in English so you start thinking in it. Here are 3 strategies that really work. 1. Mental narration. Take simple things you do every day and say them to yourself in English. I'm going to get a glass of water. I need to find my keys. What should I wear today? The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to get your brain used to thinking in English. 2. Use images instead of translations. Rather than linking the word apple with the word in your language, start linking it to the image of an apple. This skips an unnecessary step, and over time, your brain will start to think more like a native speaker. 3. Watch without subtitles. If you always watch or listen to things with subtitles in your native language, your brain will keep working in that language. Try watching videos or listening to podcasts in English without subtitles and focus on the main ideas, not each word. Over time, your mind will adapt and you'll start forming sentences in English without needing to think about them in your native language first. Once that happens, your fluency will make a huge leap. Let's switch off that translator mode and start really thinking in English. Test 2. Do you understand people speaking without subtitles? Think about the last times you tried to watch a movie, series, or even a YouTube video in English. Were you able to understand it without subtitles? Or did you feel like the words were going faster than you could process? If without subtitles everything becomes incomprehensible, don't worry, this happens to many people. But it doesn't mean you don't have an ear for languages or that English isn't for you. The truth is, your brain isn't used to the music of English yet. Yes, music, because every language has its own rhythm and way of sounding. When we're not used to hearing this rhythm, our brains simply don't recognize the sounds clearly. Here's a secret: you don't need to understand every word to grasp what's being said. Your brain is smarter than you think. With the right training, it starts picking up context, associating words, and automatically filling in gaps. Think about this: when you hear someone speaking fast in your native language, your ears don't catch each syllable separately, right? You understand the sentence as a whole. The same needs to happen with English. How do we train for this? Your ears need to be trained, and the only way to do this is by listening to more English. So instead of just listening to music or watching shows with subtitles in your language, start seeking English content that's a slight stretch beyond your comfort level. It could be a podcast, a short video, or a movie with English subtitles. Ever tried watching a serious documentary in English and felt like your head was going to explode? Forget about that for now. Start with something you already enjoy. If you're into soccer, watch interviews with foreign players. If you like games, check out videos from English-speaking creators. Motivation makes all the difference. We tend to get comfortable with one type of English, maybe the American movie English or the cleaner English from courses. But in the real world, English has so many variations. British, Australian, South African, Irish accents, not to mention regional differences within the countries. Exposing yourself to this diversity will prepare you to understand anyone when you need to. Listening isn't just about letting sounds hit your ears and hoping they make sense. You need to truly pay attention. Take a small clip from a video or podcast without subtitles and try to understand as much as possible. Then go back and listen again, this time with subtitles or a transcript. Compare what you thought you heard with what was actually said. This helps your brain fill in understanding gaps. It might seem tough at first, but I guarantee if you train your listening every day with small doses of real English, soon everything will start making sense. Let's cut that subtitle dependency and train those ears to really understand English. Test 3. Does your speech flow naturally? Alright, let's talk about speaking. When you need to speak English, do the words just flow out, or do you feel like you freeze up? Does your brain run in circles chasing the right phrases while your mouth can't keep up? Or even worse, do you start speaking but halfway through you get scared of making mistakes and give up? If that happens to you, congratulations. Yes, congratulations. You know why? Because that's one of the clearest signs you already have some knowledge of English. You know what you want to say, but your brain just isn't used to turning that into speech quickly yet. And that's completely normal. Learning to speak English is like learning how to ride a bike. In the beginning, you waver, lose balance, and slip a little. But then, before you know it, you're cruising along, no sweat. But here's the catch: you have to get on the bike to learn how to balance. Just watching cycling videos and memorizing pedal techniques won't get you anywhere. It's the same with English. Many people study, read, listen, but when it's time to speak, they freeze. Why? Because they haven't trained their mouth and brain to work together in English, and the only way to break free from this is to practice speaking without fear of mistakes. But here's another challenge. Most people don't speak English in their daily life, don't have anyone to practice with, and so they never take that next step. Don't worry, I've got 3 tricks to change that right now. 1. Talk to yourself without shame. This might feel weird at first, but it really works. Try explaining something in English to yourself out loud. It could be a summary of your day, a random thought, or even repeating lines you heard in a movie. The key is to start linking thought and speech in English without needing to translate mentally first. 2. Record your voice. Ever tried recording yourself speaking English? It might be uncomfortable at first, but when you listen to your own voice, you catch mistakes you didn't even know you made. Plus, you can compare your recordings after a few weeks and see how much you've improved. 3. Start with small conversations. You don't need to dive into deep philosophical discussions in English right away. Start with simple sentences, but speak them. If you have a friend who also wants to learn, agree to chat a bit in English. If not, look for online communities or language exchange apps. Most importantly, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of the process, and the more you make now, the quicker you'll get it right in the future. What you can't do is stay stuck in fear and never try. So, when was the last time you actually spoke English out loud? If it's been a while, it's time to change that. The turning point: becoming fluent in English without leaving home. A lot of people still believe that you can only learn English by living abroad, that only those who spend time in the US, Canada, or England can truly become fluent. But this is one of the biggest myths about learning languages. People who learn English quickly don't have a passport full of stamps. What they have is an environment full of English right where they are. This means you don't have to leave your country to immerse yourself in the language, you just need to bring the language into your daily life. The mistake many make is thinking learning English is separate from the rest of life. They stick to books and classes a few hours a week and then forget the language entirely until the next study session. But learning a language doesn't work like that. The only way to truly absorb English is to make it a part of your everyday life. The smartest way to study is not to set a specific, limited time for it, but to incorporate English into what you already do without changing your habits. And that's the key to learning faster. If you love music, start listening to more music in English and pay attention to the lyrics. If you watch series, change subtitles to English, or better yet, try watching without them. If you enjoy social media, start following accounts that post content in English. Little changes like these put your brain in English mode automatically. Another efficient strategy is changing your phone and apps to English. It sounds simple, but forcing yourself to interact with English daily conditions your brain to process it more naturally. And if there's anything that really speeds up learning, it's daily exposure to real English. Instead of just studying educational materials, find ways to consume the language authentically. Read the news, watch videos from foreign content creators, follow interviews, and try to absorb everything without translating word for word. Creating constant contact with English turns it from something distant to a part of your environment. In time, you'll notice you're understanding better, speaking faster, and thinking in the language effortlessly. Making English a part of your life is what truly transforms learning. It doesn't matter where you are. If you do this, you'll become fluent without even realizing it. The secret that boosts your English. If there's one thing that separates those who learn English quickly from those who stay stuck for years, it's how they expose themselves to the language. People who truly master English don't rely solely on classes or grammar rules, they live the language. And this is the big secret. Most people view English as a school subject. They study, do exercises, memorize word lists, learn grammar, attend a few classes a week, and that's it. The problem is, English remains confined to study time and doesn't become part of real life. Now, think about this. If someone wants to learn how to swim but only studies swimming, reads books on stroke techniques, and watches videos of professional swimmers, will they really know how to swim? Not at all. They might know all the theory, but the moment they get in the water, they'll feel lost. Learning English is exactly the same. If you don't expose yourself to real-life English, if you don't use it daily, listen to it, speak it, you'll never get comfortable with the language. That's where so many people go wrong. Now let me share how people who truly learn English do it. Instead of treating the language as a task, a subject they study a few hours a week, they integrate English into every possible part of their lives. They swap dubbed movies for ones with subtitles and eventually watch without any. They listen to music and try to understand the lyrics. They follow foreign content creators on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. They consume news in English. They change their phone settings to English and start writing short texts and messages in the language. Not because they need to study, but because they've incorporated English into their daily lives. What happens with this kind of exposure? Gradually, English stops being something separate from their routine and becomes a part of it. The language becomes natural, familiar. The words that once seemed difficult start to come to mind with no effort. Grammar shifts from a bunch of rules to something intuitive. The ability to understand native speakers without subtitles develops without them even noticing. In short, English becomes spontaneous, automatic. And that's the biggest difference between those who learn quickly and those who don't progress. The mistake isn't studying too little, the mistake is studying without living the language. So, if you really want to speed up your learning, you need to change this mindset. English shouldn't just be a study task on your schedule. It needs to be present in your life in every way. The more contact you have with the language, the faster your fluency will come. That's the true secret to learning once and for all. The power of imitation, the shortcut to sounding like a native. If there's something that can really speed up your English learning and make you sound much more natural when speaking, it's imitation. It might seem basic, but copying the way natives speak is one of the most powerful methods to improve your pronunciation, rhythm, and even your confidence when communicating. Think about how children learn to speak. They don't study grammar or memorize complicated rules. They simply listen and imitate. They repeat the sounds they hear, try to copy the intonation, the rhythm, and slowly start speaking naturally without effort. This is the most effective process there is, and it can work the same for you. The problem is, most people learn English as if it's a code to be deciphered, not a language to be heard and reproduced. They focus on writing correctly and nailing the grammar, but when it comes to speaking, everything stops. That paralysis happens because they haven't practiced the real sound of the language enough. The best way to resolve this is to start replicating how natives talk, without fear or letting embarrassment get in the way. The secret is not just to imitate words, but the pronunciation, intonation, rhythm, and even the way a sentence sounds in a real conversation. This means going beyond vocabulary and starting to absorb English's musicality. The first step is choosing someone to use as a reference. It could be an actor, a presenter, a YouTuber, or even a show character you like. Ideally, it should be someone with clear pronunciation and a way of speaking that appeals to you. Then, watch or listen to content from this speaker repeatedly. The more your brain gets used to a sound, the easier it will be to reproduce it. Next comes the crucial exercise, shadowing. This technique involves trying to repeat what you hear in real time without pausing. Yes, it might seem difficult at first, but it's one of the best ways to train your intonation and speed in speaking. If it's too hard initially, you can listen, repeat slowly, and then try again along with the audio. Another great way to enhance this practice is by recording yourself. Choose a short excerpt from a video or podcast. Listen, record yourself mimicking the pronunciation as closely as possible, and then compare it with the original. You'll notice details you hadn't before, and over time, your speech will sound more like a native. An important note in this process is not just to focus on word repetition, but also on the energy and expression of the speaker. The way a sentence is delivered changes its impact completely, and if you pay attention to this, you'll find even your communication style in English will become more authentic. When you start practicing this way, something amazing happens. First, the embarrassment fades away. You gain confidence because you've tested your speech multiple times before using it in a real conversation. Then your pronunciation improves drastically without needing to study complicated phonetic rules. And most importantly, your ears start detecting patterns in the language, which means you'll understand native speakers much more easily. If you think speaking good English is a special talent or takes years to achieve, it's because you haven't tried this method yet. The truth is your fluency can increase dramatically when you start treating English as something to hear and replicate, not just study. The more you imitate, the more natural you become. And before you know it, you'll be speaking without even thinking. Tell me in the comments, have you ever tried imitating native speakers before? How was that experience for you? I'd love to hear about it. Accelerate your English. Practical exercises to boost your skills quickly. If you're determined to give your English a power-up, the secret is to make learning flow naturally into your daily life. Let's explore some strategies that can help you accelerate your progress quickly. First, how about incorporating English into your leisure activities? For example, if you enjoy cooking, look up recipes in English and challenge yourself to follow them without translation. This practice not only expands your specific vocabulary in a fun and practical way, but it also forces you to think in English while doing something you love. Another tip is to create flashcards with expressions and phrases you come across in articles or real conversations. Place these cards in strategic spots around your home, on the fridge, bathroom mirror, or next to your bed. Seeing and repeating these phrases daily helps you internalize new structures without the burden of study. Why not take English to the gym or park? Turn your walks or workout sessions into learning experiences. Listen to audiobooks or podcasts in English while exercising. Physical movement often helps with retention, allowing you to learn while staying healthy. Another cool idea is to create a visual journal. Instead of writing about your day in English, take photos of your activities and caption them in an app or digital album. Use short captions and try to describe the situations and feelings in English. It's an excellent way to practice describing and using the language in real contexts. If you're into games, explore options in English. Many online games have language settings or even forums and communities where you can interact with other players in English. This offers an authentic and engaging experience where you learn practically without noticing it. Additionally, involve your friends in the process. Create a WhatsApp or Telegram group where you only communicate in English. Share audio messages, tips, corrections, and motivate each other. Social interaction is a powerful learning booster. Finally, set small weekly goals. Decide to learn, say, 5 new words specific to your work or hobby each week. At the end of the week, review these words and practice using them in sentences or short stories you invent. This not only solidifies vocabulary but also helps you feel more prepared to discuss important topics in English. Remember, accelerating your English is less about quantity and more about quality and consistency. Turn every moment of your day into a micro-opportunity to learn. The more you integrate English into your life, the less it feels like a task and more like a natural part of you. So let's go create your English world and see how much you can grow in no time. Your transformation begins now. If there's something you need to understand once and for all, it's that learning English is not a gift, it's not luck, and it's not about having more or less time available. English is a skill, and like any other skill, it develops with practice. You weren't born knowing how to ride a bike, drive, or play an instrument, but with the right approach and consistent practice, anyone can master these skills. It's the same with English. The biggest mistake stopping many people from advancing in English is expecting the learning to happen naturally, as if one day fluency will just show up out of the blue. But that's not how it works. You won't wake up one day magically understanding everything without any effort. English needs to be practiced, experienced, and incorporated into your routine to become something natural. From now on, the question isn't, can I become fluent? The right question is, what can I do to speed up my learning and make this process a part of my life? The answer lies in the changes we've discussed until now. How you study, practice, expose yourself to the language, and transform English into a daily habit. Your English level today doesn't define who you'll be in 6 months, not even in a year. You're not stuck at this stage forever. If you feel that you still freeze up when speaking, have trouble understanding native speakers, or can never remember the right word at the right time, it doesn't mean you don't have the ability to learn. It just means your brain hasn't been trained the right way yet, and that can change starting now. The big difference between those who learn quickly and those who spend years trying without moving forward isn't the amount of time spent studying, but how they use English daily. And the truth is, many people study English the wrong way. They spend years memorizing grammar rules, doing writ exercises, watching classes where they only listen to the teacher, but they never take the language off the paper. Then when they try to use English in the real world, it feels stuck. If you want to truly transform your English, you need to ditch the mindset that studying is enough. Studying is a step, but using English is what really makes the difference. So from today, you have two options. Continue at the same pace, hoping that one day the words will start flowing naturally or start acting differently. Introduce small changes into your daily routine, train your listening every day, challenge your speaking, test new methods, make mistakes and correct them, make mistakes again and keep adjusting. If today you still need subtitles to watch a movie, start making small changes, switch the subtitles to English. If you already use English at work, practice drafting emails or forming sentences mentally before speaking. If you're still afraid of making mistakes while speaking, record yourself and compare it to the original audio. These are all steps that build true fluency. And most importantly, stop waiting for the ideal moment to start. The best time to transform your English is now. The only way to ensure that in time you'll be at a much better level is to start acting today. The difference between those who truly learn and those who spend years in the same place is the decision to start, without waiting to feel ready or waiting for the perfect scenario. English will become natural for you the moment you decide it's part of your life. And believe me, if you put into practice everything we've discussed so far, your transformation has already begun. Conclusion. Did you enjoy the tips? Now you know that your English will only truly improve when you stop seeing it as theory and start using it in everyday life. So let's switch from student mode to speaker mode. Remember, watching this video was an important step, but what will really make a difference is practice. Choose at least one technique you learned here and start today. And of course, if this content helped you, give it a thumbs up because it really makes a difference and encourages me to keep bringing you more videos like this. And if you haven't subscribed yet, seriously, it's high time. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything because there's a lot of good stuff on the way. Now, as usual, let's see how your listening and comprehension skills are doing. Here's the secret phrase of the video. When my ears began to understand English without translation and my mouth started to speak without fear. Now I want to see you in the comments. Write what you understood from this phrase and fill it out your way creatively. I'll be keeping an eye on it. So that's it. Let's make English something natural because now you have the real Learn English secrets. Keep practicing and keep discovering the Learn English secrets by clicking on this video or this playlist right here. See you in the next video.